What up, is Marcus Dynasty with that top 2024 rankings for rookies here. Now, this is again the class is gonna. We're gonna go through some highlights of the class at the end of this video. So if you want to just skip to the end, that's fine here. But we're gonna go through number one. It is Caleb Williams of USC. Now, everyone has been talking about Caleb Williams for the last 12 months. Basically, he would have been the number one quarterback taken this last draft. In the actual NFL draft, and when I say draft, I mean Superflex draft as well. He would have been taken likely over the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson trio, and we see that CJ Stroud has been very good out of that group of three. But Caleb Williams has been compared to the Mahomesian abilities. I will say that him and the next guy we're going to be talking about, number two overall, have had slightly disappointing seasons this year. And so I think that Caleb Williams, this 101 pick, especially in Superflex, has been so highly valued. I mean, there was a lot of times people were taking it on that 1-2 turn. It's going to be a very big question of where Caleb Williams goes NFL-wise. Does he go to the Bears? Does the Bears trade out of that for a different team? We shall see. But Caleb Williams is the number one pick here. I do feel like he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. Look into that kind of CJ Stroud type of value is what you're looking at, which is crazy to see how big CJ Stroud's jump has been. The next one is going to be Drake May out of North Carolina. Again, a more prototypical sized, a bigger quarterback, not as mobile as Caleb Williams, but Drake May, excellent quarterback, could in a different draft could be probably a number one overall. In some of these bad drafts could be a number one overall pick. But again, Drake May is gonna be ahead of a lot of these running backs and this elite wide receiver that we're gonna be talking about right next. So Drake May, again, you've got to take your quarterbacks in Superflex. And so if you're not Superflex, you're one QB, then of course you're taking these guys a little bit later, and we can discuss that at a further time. But number three is gonna be Marvin Harrison Jr. So if you're the 101 in non-Superflex, this is where you're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best prospect that we have seen. Gosh, I mean, we talk about these generational talents. We've talked about Bijan, we've talked about Kyle Pitts, generational type talents. Marvin Harrison Jr. could be wide receiver 3 in Dynasty as soon as September. That is how crazy high value he is going to potentially be. I have a hard time putting him up there that high, but I mean, you're looking at that Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're looking at that A.J. Brown value right now. He easily could jump into that sphere with Justin Jefferson, but you have Justin Jefferson, you have Jamar Chase, you have CeeDee Lamb, and honestly, Marvin Harrison, I have a hard time seeing him not up into that category of at least into that CeeDee Lamb, that Amon-Ra St. Brown situation. So wide receiver 3 is easily where he could be, and if he finds himself with a good quarterback, an okay enough quarterback, he's going to be a top probably 5-6 pick in the NFL draft. If he can find himself with, heck, even Justin Fields, but if he can find himself with a quarterback, he will be somebody that will be extremely high valued and will be the number one pick in non-Superflex. Number 2, Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU. We're going to talk about some of these. There's a lot of quarterbacks into this kind of second tier. He would be more into the realm of this. I'm trying to think of what a good example of Jaden Daniels would be. He's probably more into that Bryce Young category, honestly. You got him and the next quarterback we're going to talk about. They're probably more in the Bryce Young category. These quarterbacks that are into this 12 to 16 range that could move way up, but they probably won't. They'll probably be into the Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins range, but they're still very valuable for Superflex. And these players are not extremely this draft, if I can actually talk. We're going to talk. I have told you we're going to talk about this at the end, but we'll talk about it briefly. It's really good high-end quarterbacks, 2 of them. Great wide receiver class. Tight end class, you're going to have one player that's going to be above the rest. And then running backs are really weak this year, in my opinion. So number 5 is going to be Brock Bowers out of Georgia. He is the first tight end, 105. A very good prospect here. Not as athletic as Kyle Pitts, but you can see him fit right into that. We've seen Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid. He's right into that category. He might fight himself in if he finds a good spot. I mean, he might put himself in that category with these Dalton Kincaids and Sam Laportas. Next one is Malik Neighbors out of LSU, another wide receiver. Big class this year, and so just want to know that. Big class. Again, you're going to see a lot of LSU, a lot of Ohio State, a lot of LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, yeah, it's Washington. Like those are some big offenses right now. Next one, Bo Nix. We're going to talk about him. He's out of Oregon. He was Ole Miss, I believe, but a quarterback that has some mobility. Not a ton, but still Bo Nix. I think he's going to be that Derek Carr type of mold. So if you look at Derek Carr, still valuable for Superflex. Next one is going to be Emike Mbuke, if I can at least speak. Man, it's hard to pronounce his name. Emike Mbuke, wide receiver, OSU. If it wasn't for Marvin Harrison Jr., you'd see this guy probably all over the highlight reels. But unfortunately, he just is shadowed by Marvin Harrison Jr., and he could be the wide receiver too. I love Ohio State wide receivers. I mean, look at how successful they've been. Chris Olave, you've had Michael Thomas, you've had Garrett Wilson. I feel like I'm missing one. I feel like, Jackson Smith and Jigma just came out. And so Emeka Mbuke is probably right around that JSN range. Probably a little bit below JSN, but Travion Henderson, running back, Ohio State, the number one running back right now. It wasn't a battle with number 11. We'll just kind of spoil it with you with Jonathan Brooks, but he was a running back that tore his ACL. Travion is ahead of him. This is the point where I feel confident after some of these elite wide receivers. As you know, I love running backs, sometimes even more than wide receivers, and there's just not enough in this running back class here. The next one is Michael Penix, and he could be he's the one that could move way up this list. He kind of reminds me of like that mobile Tua, just because he's a lefty. But quarterback out of Washington, number 10 here, could easily jump into this higher category if he's been balling out, honestly, which has been really fun. And then Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. Again, you have some of these elite wide receivers with these quarterbacks, which sometimes scares me. Because sometimes their wide receiver production is just based off of that offense and the quarterback play. And so we'll see exactly what happens there. But that is my 2024 rookie class right now. A lot of things can change in the next couple of months. They usually do. Peace out. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.